Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I wanted to talk about dating because right now I'm at a point in my life where almost everything outside of it is crumbling, and the fact that keeping a long committed relationship can be pretty hard. I can't say too much myself because a few months ago I was never in one, but there's definitely a few things I like to say in terms of my knowledge and experiences with girls. But before we get into this video, please make sure to give this video a like, subscribe if you're new to my content, don't forget to click on the notification bell to be notified whenever I upload. Share this video to anyone that's ever had a relationship before, and let's play dating. Now, I've definitely had multiple people talk to me about what it's like to love someone, doing the birds and the bees, and essentially be in a relationship. I'm one of the very few out of all of my friends that didn't lose their virginity until their adulthood. To be honest, I've spent a good majority of my life not caring about whether I was single or not. Not only was I just not that interested in people, but I've had a lot on my plate, man. If I consume too much goods, I'ma throw up. But for real, I've been through a lot with my parents, and I feel like I just had to focus on leaving the house and move on with my life for the longest time. I also had a lot of people nag me about not having a girl in my life like that, especially because just about every other person I know has had some sort of sexual interaction with someone else before. It wasn't even until a month into my senior year where I finally started to gather some feelings for someone, and man, let me tell you, that girl was a hoe. But now that I actually have hope of being in a long committed relationship thanks to another, I think it's safe to say that the way how some people operate when it comes to relationships is scandalous. Personally, I think it's gross that people will even have sex with more than one person just because they like it. I'd rather stick to one person and one person only, and it's not even for the sex, bro. I'm in it for the memories, the smoke sessions, the parties, family gatherings, the barbecues, experiencing the world. Dude, I'm trying to live a life happily, and this sounds pretty prime. Speaking of prime, here's a prime example about my very first love. So last year, my senior year officially started. First and second hour was at a program that was hosted at a different school. Every school day, I'd show up to that class by 7:55 in the morning. After second hour, which is pretty much the second half of the first class in the program, I was given a fat minute to take a bus or sometimes drive to my home school and make it the third hour before the bell rings. Class ended at 9:40. And the third hour would start anywhere from 10:08 to 10:40, depending on what day of the week it was. Apart from going from being somewhat motivated to do my work to completely flunking the class and having to get plugged by the teacher on that D-, the class was actually pretty cool. They had studios and computers for you to make anything. I could have grinded on songs and videos if I really tried, but unfortunately I was going through another depressed phase at the time. About a few weeks into the class, I started meeting people through assigned partners, running through users in the studio, and bathroom vapors. Of course, meeting some of these people, I go through small world conspiracies. There's a lot of people in the Twin Cities area that know each other. Freaks me out sometimes. Like how exactly plays into this. There were some people that I met in that program that knew friends that I was already friends with. Anyways, there's two girls that play a notable role for this video. I'm not going to drop their names, you already know. After a few weeks of working on schoolwork and already doing projects and stuff, it didn't take long for everybody to realize that I wasn't really a talkative person. I was never talkative in school, to be honest. I always came into school tired, higher than Elon Musk, dehydrated, and just not always mentally in my head. I figured if I didn't bother anyone, I would get the least amount of interactions in the class, or in general, especially when it comes to getting called on to answer a class question without even raising your own hand. But one day, the teacher decided to reward the class with a tour to the cafe, and at that moment, I officially met these girls and some other friends. I also realized at the time that one of the girls who I have a thing with now was in a relationship with one of the guys in the group I met at the time, and the other girl who I had a thing with back then had recently been dumped by her ex-boyfriend that just so happens to be one of my buddies I smoke with pretty often. Or used to. I still hang out with him every once in a while, but definitely not as much as I used to back in October. Now, ever since I met the girl I liked back then, we talked a lot. She was also grounded throughout pretty much the entire time we were talking to each other, but we would always text and FaceTime over the phone and hang out for the 30 minutes we had before we would have to go to class or before she would have to go home. This lasted for about 2 months until everything just went downhill by winter. After her consistently telling me that she's not ready for a relationship, dealing with losing a job job to an anxiety attack, having my friends talk about all of these bad things about her, like she had a sexual affair and got dumped on in the span of 2 weeks, and getting along with my best friend, I realized that she didn't have any feelings for me at all. She was just leading me on the entire time, like she did with a couple of other people that would actually later in life come to me about it. And I think it's pretty sad how there's people like her that will use someone for their own benefits. I even almost lost my best friend too, because we were going through some repercussions with each other, which helped her plot her plan. She also played the victim card when I confronted her about everything, along with the fact she was saying that it was my fault I kept taking things seriously after she told me she wasn't ready. But finally I took everything into consideration for the first time in 2 months, blocked her on every social media platform I could find, and I was left with no job, eventually no car, and just sitting in my mom's basement dealing with anxiety and depression for like 5 months straight. Even if everything my friends were saying to me wasn't true and that the girl was genuinely trying to get me back, I still would have made the decisions I made back in December. I didn't need to deal with any more drama than what I had to deal with at the time. Like I said, I almost lost my best friend. That's one of the bigger reasons why I blocked her. Rewind a little bit to the end of the first trimester of my senior year, I realized that the other girl I met at the program was getting transferred to the same school that I was getting transferred to during the second trimester. To compare the first and second trimester, her and I started talking a lot more. She was no longer dating, and she was literally the only person in the group I met at that one program I was still talking to at that point. With everyone else, our friendships fell off and we stopped talking to each other. Me and the girl actually talked more than I ever did with the last one, so I definitely enjoyed my time with her in the hallways. It didn't help that we only talked in school though, so our bond didn't strengthen until I decided to hit her up out of the blue during a shift at work. I'm pretty glad I remembered to ask her for her Facebook name, because I just kept forgetting every day until I finally asked her. It was only a few days before I would last see her again either. Don't do drugs, guys. I have a serious problem. I hit her up to see if she wanted to hang out, and by the way, this was my first time talking to her in 3 months. She was more than happy to see me again and hang out outside of school for the first time, but since she was living with her mom and she didn't know me at the time, I had to make plans with her 3 days in advance, and I'd have to meet her mom, tell her all about me, and essentially prove to her that I'm not just some dude trying to get in her pants. Ever since I met her mother, me and the girl started hanging out a lot. I only came over every week, but as time flew by, I started staying at her house like 2, 3, even 4 nights at a time. Like, it even got to the point where I was staying at her mom's. We would smoke together, do barbecues and other outdoor activities with other family members and neighbors, hang out with my friends because most of her own friends live in her hometown, which is on the west coast of the country. Literally, the second time we hang out outside of school, we kissed for the first time and actually started showing affection for each other. However, she's told me that she wasn't ready for a relationship, but instead of it being the same concept as the other girl, she dumped him, which is just some school friend to me. The other girl got dumped by the homie. I could see why the girl I like now isn't ready for a relationship at the moment, and I'm more than happy to try and give her as much comfort about this whole thing, because even though I never dated someone before, I know that things can be stressful, and considering that it's 2 people involved in it, we're not going to agree on everything. I'd hope there'd be some differences, otherwise the relationship would be pretty weird, and it would be equivalent to dating yourself. That doesn't really make any sense. But as of right now, me and her really like each other, and despite the trust we have for each other, I really hope that this works out. Now, I usually don't do morals on regular commentating videos, but because this is rather a sensitive topic, I figured I'd spread the word for everyone. Don't cheat or lead anyone on, because it's a good way to break someone mentally. Basically, just love someone unconditionally for as long as you can, and that's if you know the other person will do the same for you. Don't do drugs, stay at home, get good medication, keep watching my YouTube videos. Thank y'all for watching my video. I really appreciate your time. If y'all like this video, please give it a like, subscribe if you're new to my content, and don't forget to click on the notification bell to be notified every time I upload. Share this video to anyone that's ever been in a relationship before or is currently in one, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out.